Have you ever noticed that even when everything seems fine, your mind still refuses to be quiet? You wake up thinking about yesterday's mistakes. You spend the whole day worrying about tomorrow. You compare yourself to people who seem happier than you, constantly chasing a peace that feels further away the harder you run after it. Many people think money will bring peace. Others think success, relationships, or a bigger house will finally make them calm. But even after getting those things, many people still feel empty inside. Maybe the problem isn't that life is too loud. Maybe the problem is that our minds never learned how to stop making noise. If you feel tired from overthinking, stress, regret, or the constant pressure to do more, then this story is for you. Hello everyone. Today I want to share the story of an old man named Silas. It happened many years ago, but the lesson is more important today than ever before. Stay with me until the end, because one simple realization changed Silas's life forever, and it can change yours too. Years ago, there was a small village surrounded by green hills, quiet rivers, and ancient trees. In that village lived an old man named Silas. The villagers respected him, though very few ever truly understood him. Every morning before sunrise, Silas walked up a hill outside the village, carrying only a wooden walking stick and a small bag. He sat under a large oak tree for hours at a time. He didn't pray out loud, read books, or talk to anyone. He simply sat in complete silence. The local villagers often laughed at him, talking among themselves about what a waste of time it was, believing he could earn far more if he just worked harder. But Silas never argued or defended himself. He simply smiled gently and let their words pass. One day, a young traveler named Ethan arrived in the village. Ethan had spent years traveling through large cities, meeting wealthy merchants, famous leaders, and respected teachers. All of them had money and power, yet none of them possessed true peace. Unlike the villagers, Ethan noticed something special about Silas. Despite living in a small house, wearing old clothes, and owning almost nothing, Silas remained completely calm when insulted or faced with trouble. His face carried a deep sense of peace that Ethan had never seen anywhere else. Curious to understand his secret, Ethan decided to follow Silas up the hill early the next morning. As they reached the old oak tree, Silas acknowledged Ethan's presence with a warm smile, letting him know he had noticed him following since sunrise. When Ethan felt embarrassed and began to apologize, Silas reassured him that anyone searching for peace was already heading in the right direction. The two men sat together on the grass. After a few silent minutes, Ethan finally asked Silas how he managed to be happier than anyone else when he owned nothing at all. Instead of giving a direct answer, Silas picked up a small stone from the ground, placed it into Ethan's hand, and asked him to hold it straight out in front of him. At first, Ethan felt no effort at all and mentioned that the stone was light. But after 15 minutes, his arm began to shake violently, and he admitted that his arm was burning with pain. Silas asked Ethan if the stone had somehow gotten heavier. Ethan explained that the stone was the exact same weight. The pain came from holding it for too long. Looking out over the river, Silas explained that our daily worries are just like that stone. Holding a worry for a single minute helps us learn and solve problems. Holding it for days wears us down, but holding it for years completely destroys our peace. Silas reminded Ethan that most people are not suffering because life is too hard, but because they simply refuse to put their heavy worries down. Ethan agreed with the lesson, though he admitted that telling someone to simply stop worrying seemed almost impossible. Silas smiled, acknowledging that if inner peace were easy, everyone would have it. To explain further, Silas guided Ethan deep into the woods until they reached a clear mountain lake. Silas filled a small wooden cup with water, dropped a handful of dirt inside, and watched as the water turned dark and muddy. He asked Ethan if he would ever drink from the cup, to which Ethan quickly said no. Silas then took another handful of the same dark dirt and threw it far out into the vast lake. The dirt disappeared almost instantly, leaving the lake perfectly clear. Silas asked Ethan what had made the difference. Ethan thought for a moment and realized it was the size of the container. Silas explained that the problem was never the dirt itself, but the size of the cup. When your mind is small, every little problem turns your entire life muddy. But when your heart expands through patience, kindness, and gratitude, those same problems lose their power to affect you. Before the next sunrise, a wealthy merchant named Victor arrived in the village on a fine horse. His clothes were expensive, and his bags were filled with gold. yet his eyes showed deep fear and exhaustion. Victor approached Silas, explaining that despite having everything people dreamed of, he could not sleep, enjoy his food, or find a single moment of rest due to his constant fear of losing his wealth. Silas invited Victor to join them on their walk up to the oak tree. As Victor listed his endless properties, businesses, and anxieties, Silas listened quietly. Eventually, Silas asked Victor when he had last watched a sunrise without thinking about work, eaten a meal out of true hunger rather than a schedule, or felt simple gratitude for being alive. Victor went silent, realizing he could not remember the last time he had done any of those things. Silas picked up a dry leaf from the ground and let it drift into the wind. He watched as the wind carried it gently across the field until it rested softly on the grass. Silas pointed out that the leaf never fought against the wind when the time came. It simply let go. He explained that people lose their peace because they try to control every person, every plan, and every outcome in life. The moment someone lets go of their desperate need to control everything, their heart instantly becomes lighter. When Victor asked if he should give up his work, Silas advised him to continue working with his hands, but to avoid carrying that work inside his heart. He encouraged him to earn money without letting money own his mind, and to love people without expecting them to be perfect. Ethan ended up staying with Silas for months, learning to focus on changing himself from within, rather than trying to force the world around him to change. Years later, when Silas grew old and weak, the entire village gathered around his cottage. Pointing out the sunlit window toward the singing birds and swaying trees, Silas whispered his final words, that life had always been peaceful, but people were simply too busy to notice. He closed his eyes peacefully, leaving everyone in the room filled with quiet gratitude. Ethan lived on for many years, sitting under that same oak tree and passing down Silas's wisdom to travelers, reminding them that peace is never hidden in a physical place, but within the daily choices we make. My friend, peace of mind does not arrive after you solve every single problem in your life. It arrives when you stop allowing those problems to control your life. You cannot control what other people say, and you cannot control what tomorrow brings, but you always have full control over your response. Choose gratitude over constant comparison. Choose forgiveness over holding on to past pain. Enjoy today's small moments instead of waiting for a perfect life. A calm mind makes better decisions than a worried mind. A grateful heart enjoys life far more than a rich heart. And a peaceful person is often much stronger than the loudest person in the room. If this story touched your heart today, leave a comment below, sharing one small thing that brought you peace. Don't forget to watch my video, No Way Back, if you want to build strong discipline, courage, and commitment. Thank you for watching. Take care of your mind, take care of your heart, and I will see you in the next story.